Hey, what's the matter, you?
So this is a good song. You guys have heard this one? It's
I started the recording. Good.
so
Guido.
so this one's called Horse with No Name. So it's like goes. To the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. Oh, sorry. I screwed it up. Can we start
No,
over?
that's a good one. I could just cut anything out. It don't matter.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's a good point. So it goes. Hold on one second. I'm curious about it. Oh, yeah. That's how it. So the chorus is a little different. The chorus is this one. Desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. On the desert, you remember your name. Cause there ain't no one gonna give you no pain. La 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 la.
Guido.
Guido!
That's
Too funny.
that is funny.
All right. So let's
So we
talk.
all watched the Netflix Frankenstein. What would you just out of 10? What would you rate it out of 10? I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
We're going right into the ratings.
Sure. I mean, there's no reason we can discuss. It's all subjective. I mean, you could say it's a 1. I mean, it's up to you.
No, I would definitely would not say it's a 1. Uh, I actually liked it. I would say, I would say 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I liked it. I think he did a good job. I think he screwed up Pinocchio, but I'm going to forgive him Pinocchio for right now because we're talking about Frankenstein. But yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was good. I do think there is some.
It seemed like a very expensive production. That Netflix is really putting a lot of money into that. I mean, because even like the arts, the piece, like the artwork and the sets and stuff, and it's pretty good that way. It's pretty, they look like they spent a good chunk of change on that.
I would agree. I think Netflix is firing on all cylinders, and they're releasing content like crazy. Totally separate topic, but yeah, there's still ones that I keep paying for because it's still worth it. They're constantly putting out good stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stranger Things is coming out this month. If you haven't watched Stranger Things, it's worth watching. I think it's got what?
I really like that series. Yeah, I mean,
have you seen it?
I've seen all the seasons. It's definitely they made the different seasons unique in that they're pretty different from one another. I mean, and
Right.
the kids grew up basically on screen. Those kids.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and it's so just so you know, in terms of Stranger Things, they're doing it like around Thanksgiving. It's going to come out the part 1 of the last season, and then part 2 is like the end of December, and then the finale. So it's in they're finishing up in 3 pieces. It's part 1 at the end of November, part 2 at the end of December, and then the finale is December 31st or something like that, New Year's Eve.
All right, that's cool. Joe, what do you think of the movie Frankenstein?
I first I have a question. You said you were reading the book. Did this follow the book?
I just finished the book before on audio, and I liked it. It was really good. It's similar to the book in some ways, like a lot of but it diverges in other ways. Like for example, the brother plays a main role in the movie, and in the other one, it's not. He is very short. He dies young, like maybe he's 5 years old or something in the book. So like him in the movie, he's a little bit chasing after the girl who's the brother's wife, and that none of that happens.
Mm.
And like in the book, it's really a mystery of how the creature comes to life. It's very brief. It's maybe a paragraph. It's nothing. He keeps it a mystery. It's just supposed to be like ancient wisdom. He studied for a long time. He was basically on the verge of insanity of, because he had been working so hard to figure it out, and then it just comes alive. It's nothing to it in the book. It's very like they in every movie. It's usually that I've seen. It's always like electrical lightning.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they did eels.
Alive.
Yeah, it's not, but it's. I think it's interesting in that it brings up a lot of different subjects. Like even the movie, how the father is completely different. In the book, though, he loves the father, but in the movie, the father is very strict, authoritarian style of parenting. Um, that's
Obviously, the mother dies. That's why he wants to defeat death,
yeah,
right? Of course, he sort of accuses the father, whether the father let her die.
right.
The father denied it, of course, but
And in the book,
I
it's
really
similar. The book
appreciate.
is similar. I'm sorry to cut you off there. I just wanted to say
No.
that the book is similar with the mother does pass away in the book, but just from a different. She was watching a sick child. That's how, and she caught the disease. That's how. But so sorry to interrupt you.
And was that also the incentive for him to want to defeat death?
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah.
I liked the side when they switched over to show the tale from the monster's perspective, which obviously Victor's the real monster, and obviously the monster's the real human. So I loved that. I loved that aspect of it. That Victor's the low life, which it was a difficult pill to swallow. That like on his deathbed, I guess that's when he realized he was a complete loser. I mean, again, just an opinion. He was obviously brutal. He obviously had no compassion for the creature. That whole sense of, I mean, that's the impression I got from Victor, right? I mean, didn't give any love to him, but maybe he didn't receive it in his own life, so he didn't know how to. You lose. It's interesting that the growth of the monster to being much, much more of a human than Victor even ever achieved. And I did like his ending where he said, "Hey, if you can't die, live." I wish that would have been better than him going off into the Arctic. That's not to me how you live if you're going to live forever. To me, it would have been he should have went to a civilization that just accept your immortality and help society, help humanity, which he was doing, right? He lets the boat go. You know what I mean? Like you can see he had the right heart. His heart was in the right place to help humans. And then to me it's just going off into the ice. Like Mike said, 7. I did like the fact that they really touched on, to love you have to, love is part of loss of love is part of life, and I like that. And
But
I
why don't we
think
go
that
through it a little bit slower? Because there is definitely, and again, I don't remember if it's how close or not it's to the book or other treatments. Obviously, it's been treated 38 times or something. There's been a lot of treatments on this, which is certainly the sign of a good book. But I would say just to start with, right, the main theme. In fact, isn't this subtitle something about man only
Prometheus.
monsters play God or something like that? I think that is.
The woman in the book, where it's called something it's Frankenstein, and then it says the Prometheus or the Prometheus.
A modern Prometheus or
Modern
something like
Prometheus.
that.
Prometheus was the Greek god that gave humans life, or something like
No,
that.
no. Well, no. Prometheus was the Greek god that gave
with
humans fire.
Oh,
He
I
stole
thought
fire.
it also could be. I was looking it up. I thought it also could be life or something. No, it's not. If it's just the
oh,
one.
I don't know it as life. I know it as he stole fire from, I think, Saturn, the god of the sun, right? And not maybe not, whichever the one is that goes across the sky. And he stole it from him, and he gave it to the humans. He gave them fire.
Yeah,
But
and
I
then
think from that
he
perspective,
gets
when you
punished
step
for
back,
eternity or something for that.
I think he was
Like
tortured,
an
right?
eagle. An eagle is like ripping out his heart
Yeah,
for
he
eternity.
was tortured for eternity, right? Like some a vulture or an eagle ripping out his guts for eternity.
Whoa.
He says
Well,
responsible for
so
creating or
over.
aiding humanity. It says, I don't know. It just says he defied the Olympian gods by taking fire from them and giving it to them. Responsible for creating or aiding humanity in its earliest days. He defied the Olympian gods by taking fire from them and giving it to humanity in the form of technology, knowledge, and more general civilization.
Right.
Interesting.
It's interesting that they do call it a modern day Prometheus. What would you, obviously, I guess that one would be the power of life or death, right? So if Frankenstein figured out power over death, how to bring people back from the dead, I guess that would be the technology that he stole from the gods. That's not the take that Guillermo del Toro was taking, right? He was, I think his subtitle is, only monsters play God. I think it's right in the Netflix. I don't know, Joe, if you can look it up, but I'm pretty sure there's a subtitle. And of course, we heard that. The woman said that. If you think about it, though, this theme of mankind playing God, every single, besides obviously Prometheus, I think before that, though, I put like the Icarus one, right? The Icarus tale is flying too close to the sun. It's kind of the same thing. Like you're trying to be more than just mortal, and if you get too close to or usurping divine power, there's danger. Think about all the stories there are about technology run amok, right? You got the biggies would be like the Island of Dr. Moreau, obviously Frankenstein's one, but you also had Michael Crichton wrote a bunch of them, Jurassic Park, technology run amok. It's always that theme of if you try to do something that is ethically dangerous in the name of science to just forward science. In other words, like take Jurassic Park. You remember the part of the scene where he's like, "You brought back a velociraptor?" He's
Right.
like, again, why are you playing with fire? And they're playing with fire because, or again, Dr. Moreau. I don't know if you saw that one, the Island of Dr. Moreau, right? That's about genetics engineering, combining species with humans, and it ends up in tragedy.
Right.
So I think we've seen that theme is very common, and there's a lot of that here too.
Yeah. I like the line. He says that he didn't fully consider what was going to happen after the creature became alive. Like he didn't fully.
Yep.
And it's like, really, you did all that, and you didn't think that? And like, you're such a smart person, but you have a black spot in your head you didn't see that you were blind to that spot.
The old
Shallow.
like Jurassic Park, right? Unintended consequences. You didn't think they may get loose.
Shallow.
It's
That's
like AI,
shallow.
and that it does go right into the AI and stuff.
Yeah.
Man. It's just this. It's just saying,
AI is a good one, right?
we're racing to get to somewhere, but what's the destination? Where do we end up? What is it? Is it going to aid us or replace us? Like how? Where does it go? Where does it lead to? It's hard to say.
I think it's a really good question, right? Even with the AI, now they're talking about these AI girlfriends and this and that. With this stuff being unregulated is a problem. Whether it's AI, whether it's gene editing, they're doing it right now with gene editing, right? We have CRISPR technology; they can edit genes, But you have to put in place some set of safeguards, and the problem is the science usually is ahead of the regulation, and that's the real problem. The scientists doing this cutting edge stuff are not the scientists who are regulators, because they don't get the best and brightest in the field.
But it's also partially the fault of capitalism in that, like, everything is profit motive, and there's no. You do need regulation, like you were saying. It'd be, I think, a good example of regulation is like building codes. Like if there weren't building codes, there'd probably be a lot more people dead because they would just rush to build everything they could without.
Right.
You do need some regulation on things.
You do need, you absolutely, and I think safety, and everybody gets it with safety. safety is a good reason. And like you said, even with whether it's the FDA, uh, you know, safety's pretty damn important. I mean, so that is their job, but there is a lot of influence. So there, definitely have some issues with capitalism in terms of this type of scenario, because capitalism just wants you to be first. They don't really care about the unintended consequences. So let's see. So then the next part, what's the next part? So let's see. So
in the movie?
obviously you have his motivation for it, and then the rich guy comes. I don't know if there's the rich guy in the book,
No.
but then the rich guy comes and he says, "Hey, unlimited funds." He never really said. I at first thought this was some kind of military project, but then he just, his big reveal was no, it's because he had syphilis. And again, that part was a little weird.
That
Like he
was
had
definitely
syphilis.
really weird.
Yeah, he had syphilis, and then he wanted him to put him into the monster.
Put his brain into the body of that, and so he wanted.
Oh, that's it. He wanted him to use his. Well, I didn't really say it that way.
Yeah,
but that makes the most sense. Put his brain into the monster's body. I guess
he was some kind of war guy because there was a war and he sold ammunition or something like that. It was something.
Right.
But I thought that was really weird because it really had nothing to do with. He didn't put his brain in there, and then the guy just fell and died, and that was the end of that. It was just fucking weird.
And even then, why that part? So there are some holes in his plot. Joe brought up. Joe, you want to tell up your hole in the beginning that you got so pissed off about? Joe was furious on Friday. He's like, "Why are we watching this?"
No, but I don't appreciate Superman. Superman to me, it was unnecessary. Just like the girl falling in love with the monster, it happened in like one scene, and then all of a sudden it was another scene. It was like character development. It was 2.5 hours, and the character development to me was crap. I mean, in regards to maybe the monster, there was a lot of spent time on the character development of the monster. Victor did the transformation on his deathbed at the very last scene, but now all of a sudden he loved the monster back. I mean, forgive me, I don't see the magical transformation. Maybe he heard his own story of how he became wise. I mean, it was really a lot about the monster developing. I mean, Victor was just a piece of garbage, and he had no morals, no ethics, no, where he
very different. That's a big divergent from the. That's a big divergent from the book.
And I do think
he shoots the girl. He shoots the girl too. Like when she's like, I mean, that was really. I don't know. It was strange. There are some strange things. No
As
doubt.
if you didn't see that one coming. I mean, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, there are some definitely. All right. I think we're lower in here. I think it almost hit down to a 6.
No, but you got to say, but overall, it was an entertaining movie. I'm trying to take it on a full thing, like. What even a 10 doesn't mean a perfect movie. It just means in its time, in its day, it really impacted and it was fun to watch. Blah blah. For me, that would be like a 10 as a but it doesn't mean it's a perfect movie. But then you got to take away for some things like inconsistent story or bad filming or some weird filming happening, something graphically or whatever, or I don't know. I take away from something like that.
I think this is kind of also a classic. This is a classic problem, right? That movies have. This is why a lot of people now, a lot of directors are enjoying more to do a series, even a limited series, where they have 5 or 6 episodes to develop things. I mean, let's be honest. In a 2.5 hour movie, and this was a fairly long movie, he had to, he shoved a lot of stuff in there.
Right.
And
some of it was very good, and then there were those few scenes didn't detract enough from me to make it less of a value. I thought it was pretty good. It was entertaining. I had fun with it. It brought up some good concepts.
And I agree. I mean, you got to also kind of ask yourself, how much do you really want to analyze a movie instead of just sitting back and enjoying it and watching it? I mean, again, I do think there is some plot holes. But for the most part, I mean, even like shoving in there, like the Bride of Frankenstein stuff, I was actually kind of surprised he was going to go there. I'm like, try to shove that in there too. But I was really glad he put the old man, as the old man scene in the book, because that's my favorite scene with him and the old man, the blind guy.
Yeah, that's in the book. Yep.
Good.
It's almost like it's very close to that. Very, very close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
and
still think
actually in the book they tell part of his life story. It's similar in that way too. He does the whole thing with the ship and the guy on the ice and him tracking the guy, and then he does the Frankenstein does tell his side of the story in the thing. He meets the blind guy just like that, and he learns the language from them. It's a little bit different, but it's interesting. The book was better in that, but I could see she's a very good writer. It was a very good book. I liked it. It was only like 8.5 hours, and it was good. It was interesting. I see where they got. He really suffers. The Victor really suffers in the book a lot more. But he also is foolish in that I don't know. It seems like he justified it. The big part of the book is that the monster does want a companion. It's suffering. The humanity inside of it, whatever he created, it's still he was good in his heart. He didn't want to be, he was turned into it from the hatred of humanity.
Right.
That's similar to the movie, sort of, right? I mean, like the hatred of humanity turns him evil, and that happens in the book. He wants a companion,
Oh, really? That's good.
and he won't give it to him though. He decides that he could, he could be making a second devil, that a second, like he calls him a demon in the book. Most of the book is that it's
Right.
like,
Yeah, it is interesting. It's obviously, kind of fear of the unknown, fear of something that's different. I mean, the whole even xenophobia thing, right? I mean, I love it. Like we talked about this a little bit too. Look at Pink Floyd, right? Some universal themes in Us versus Them. Us versus Them is sort of classic xenophobia. Anything that's different, anything that's the other,
right,
you tend to demonize. And and they've done lots of psychological experiments. Even when they knew, I don't know if you ever heard that Stanford experiment, right? With the prisoners versus the guards.
yeah,
Very famous psychological experiment where they split the students up and they said, you're the prisoners and you're the guards. And they all knew it was fake.
right,
But within a very short amount of time, the guards were treating the prisoners like crap.
yeah,
It's so we set up the us versus them, and the them always is non-human. You look at Hitler with the Jews, drawing them caricatures with huge noses and this and that, making them look alien.
right.
So we as a species, humanity sucks at integrating in terms of things that are a little bit different from what we know.
But I find it difficult to swallow when a scientist creates something and doesn't want to consider its mental facilities, its faculties after you create it. To me, you're making me suspend all logic. Like you don't
Well,
even
wait a
know.
minute. I don't know. I thought they did address that. I mean, let's
Huh.
let's
How
go through
they-
the plot though. The plot was this. Remember, he said he only spoke one word and he was pissed off. He's like, Victor, 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 and he's hitting him on the head. He's like, well, say something else. And he couldn't until he learned the girl's name. But even then, he thought he literally created that he was defective. In fact, he tells the brother, he said, I screwed up. I created something that's basically like retarded. I created something
like childish.
huh?
It needed to be taught. That's all it needed. He couldn't figure that out as a genius. Okay, I'll suspend total. I mean, to me, it was too much. Like, give him a chance. Come on.
Yeah.
You created him out of nothing, and because he couldn't come up with a sentence why wouldn't you have thought that he needed to, like a child need development? Like, okay, so, but I hear you. Like, they tried to. I just think they rushed it. They didn't.
No, I think you're right. I think they tried to stick in too much into the movie, and that kind of it makes it less believable.
Yeah, and that's why when he rips the boat out of the ice, like, okay, I know but we all know that that's impossible. It's your muscles would have torn, you would have never been able to do. You would have pushed through the boat. The boat wouldn't have moved. The ice would have broke. Like, okay, but it's entertaining. He's trying to help the people. And so you got to give. I understand. But that's like, to me, I just appreciate if it's not going to add something.
I don't know where he gets the immortality either, because that's not in the book.
How he heals.
I don't understand that at all. I don't. That was a weird.
I honestly don't like that. I mean, because again, Frankenstein was never supposed to be a superhero.
He held a stick of dynamite and didn't explode. It was like an atom bomb.
That's a good one. Yeah, I almost lost me on there. I'm like, wait a minute. We know what happens with dynamite. All the body parts would have been all over the place.
All over the place.
And he's still fully intact. I'm like, wait a minute. What kind of dynamite was that?
But I think they're saying that he just can't die. Which, okay, we suspend it. You know what I'm saying? I thought that's a stick of dynamite. I think they overdid. It would have been interesting to see, was that real? That would have been with a stick of dynamite. Would the explosion have been that from one stick? I'm just curious. I don't know if that was truth or not, but that's sort of like, again, so he lives forever. But it's very, to me, that was.
I wonder if they're going to do a sequel. I think they're going to do a sequel, but I don't know. I mean, I just wonder if they're. Yeah. They needed some kind of also motivation, I think, for him more to have a companion because he could live forever. But in the book, it's more like he's emotional because he observes with the old man. He observes a couple and how happy and loving, and he sees other people happy in that, and he's so grotesque that everybody hates him. He wants him to make a companion for him because he wants to feel that love, and he promises him. He's like, I'll go to the desert. You'll never see me again. I just need someone to spend the rest of my life with. I want.
Personally, come back 100 years later, and he can't die, so we would have extracted all that. And we're like, how could this guy not die? That's like immortality. Oh my gosh! I mean, all he had to do was come back in 100 years. It was 18 something when the book was written, right? Okay, come back into 2025. Forget it. This guy would have been the most popular person on the planet. They would have been like, dude, you're it. You can't die. You can shoot a bullet in his brain.
Frankenstein too, man. Frankenstein.
Well, I'm trying to say that when you're living, if he was so smart and grasped the concept of immortality and realized, because he read a lot, if he had any wisdom with respect to look at where we were and look at where they are. And now you're going to see where we're going to go. And Victor's, hey, dude, live. Like, forget it. Like, you're talking about Highlander. You're talking about, okay, accepting the truth behind and helping humanity in a way that, I mean, the sequel, it's an interesting understanding. Oh, okay.
Guillermo doesn't do that. At least he probably wouldn't do it. I don't.
Interesting.
Try
because the way that they ended it, he's just looking into the sun. That's it. I mean, and then it just ends. So it's like, interesting.
He didn't accept the guy's advice then to live. That was his advice.
There was a lot of it. So plot-wise, it definitely was rushed. I mean, remember the part right after he creates him? He sits down on the stairs and goes, "This felt unnatural. Devoid of meaning." I'm like, you just did it. Now it's Chip. I mean, 5 minutes later. I'm like, well, that was a quick change. I mean, the guy's been alive for 5 minutes, and that's all worthless. Forget it. Throw it out. Start over.
Could you imagine he had that other thing and he was doing this whole entertainment thing in front of everybody? Now he's got a literal creature that can't die. Like literally, I mean, you think you would have been a little, guys, I got something to show you. You're never going to believe where I took this. I mean, because he loved that gloating aspect. All right. I do have one question, though. Mike, on the AI front, the parametric stipulations, because, Christian, you were mentioning, like, where are we going with AI? And I wonder if you don't really know where we're going, if you give it to, like, everybody's going to try to figure out where we're going. So now we got so many minds working on where we're going that it's some place that's got to go somewhere because everybody's trying to implement it. And they say that they've gotten rid of the hallucinations in respect to using this parametric stipulations. I don't know the truth behind
Who said
it.
that? They're lying, but go ahead.
Or that all site AI. Basically, they trained it on. Well, I don't know,
Here's
Mike.
a better way to think about hallucinations. It's actually a better way. It always hallucinates. It can't do anything except hallucinate. It just happens to be that sometimes the hallucinations are useful and sometimes their hallucinations are right. It's always a hallucination. It's
Then we need to redefine
spitting out.
hallucination.
It's just spitting out tokens based on the probability distributions. That's it. It doesn't know what a token is. And I even like that they use the word tokens because it doesn't even know it's a word. It doesn't know what a word is. Doesn't know what any word is that it spits out. It's just based on the training and the probabilities.
Okay, but if it creates a program that can cure cancer, I do not care if you want to call that program a hallucination because it's a program that can be used redundantly and consistently produce the same result. And so as a result, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, then we need to redefine
one other
the
caveat to that, though, because remember, and a lot of these companies like OpenAI, they don't tell you. So we know we got the centerpiece, which is the neural network. So the neural network is the centerpiece. But they don't tell you what is their pre-processing step before it gets to the neural network, and are they doing post-processing after the answer comes out of the neural network. So those are big areas. You got those three pieces where there's a lot that can go on in each stage.
Okay, so in this world, baby, go lie down. Go lie down. In this
There's
world,
also quantum computing. Like, if they ever get that to work as they say they will, I don't know, it was in 5 to 10 years or something. That's supposed to be 1,000,000 times stronger than our current capabilities.
I thought you said that was hocus pocus.
I don't believe it. I mean, I understand. I mean, I'm not even smart enough to talk intelligently about quantum mechanics. There are a lot of people who can talk intelligently about it. But when you look at what they're talking about, they're talking about qubits, literally 1 bit. Now, the amazing thing about it is supposedly that 1 bit can take on an infinite number of values. It's not just 0 and 1. It's like an infinite number of values. Now, and I think it somehow relates to the spin rotation of the atom, or I forget the details. So the spin rotation of the particle, so it can rotate in all these different ways. So anyway, you get lots of values. So again, I don't understand the technology, but I know that it's really still at the experimental stage. So to believe that we're going to go from experimenting with a few of these qubits that they say they know how to program, but extrapolate that wildly into it can break all encryption, it can compute at the speed of genius, that kind of crap.
Right.
It's just a fairy tale.
I did see that what he had used it for was that it was sort of getting us to the 80% completed aspect of, he took surfaces, he had survey data, he was able to have it run an earthwork balancing scenario. He had retaining walls where it would implement the retaining walls to optimize the design. It was over a pretty big size. It had 5 different phases. He was able to not only balance the earthwork within the phases, he had roadway grades, he had slopes within the roadway.
What I think you're talking about, this is the all-site, this is the one that just focuses on civil engineering.
That's correct.
So what I bet that they did is they took this sort of the standard generative AI large language model, or it's one of those similar, and then fine-tuned it themselves. So they didn't take the one out of the box. They took one, then it's their own training to refine. They call it fine tuning. So they fine tuned it for the civil engineering domain, which
I don't know.
means
Is that
it'll again, it's pattern recognition and pattern generation. So if there are things that are patterns, as long as you're staying within the patterns, you're good. It's gonna nail it. So if you're within the common patterns, it's gonna nail it. It's like anything else with these technologies. When it doesn't understand it, if you get to any edge scenarios, is when it'll fall down. So if you stick in the common, the one standard deviation of probabilities, you're good. If you go towards the edges, buyer beware.
So then this parametric stipulations, when you're giving it the requirements of the design, you're saying that that's not truth? You cannot do that.
What's not truth?
Well, the parametric stipulations, whatever you want to define that as, they're claiming that they're setting the parameters and the metrics and the stipulations, and it cannot go outside of those parameters. And it's developing the design predicated on
that. Again, but it's probably not with the neural network. It's probably more with some post-processing stuff that they're doing.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. I'll show you it eventually, because I don't know if that's the next step. Because if this can truly do this, from what he showed me, that's going to save us a lot of time. It will save us 80%. We will get 4 months and 2 weeks from what they did.
I do think that with fine tuning is very powerful. I do think that, again, as I said, there are a lot of things that fall into patterns. You can get really far with training, like take on 80% of the scenarios. That's really good. But here's another thing that's kind of interesting. And I think this is a really interesting test. If you ask it the same question 10 different times with slight modification to the question, does it give you different answers?
No, it does give you. You can. We basically, although we're going to be getting the software to try it out.
Okay.
Like I wanted to control the concentration points where it's calculating the issues from, because if there are slope variations, and it will take it runs through iterations, and it'll optimize it predicated on the changes that I put into the parameters.
Well, you're doing the exactly right thing. Like I said, I don't know how much they're going to tell you about how they're doing their technology and what stuff is post-processing. You can do post-processing and check a lot.
Right.
Or like I said, with fine-tuning, etc. But you're doing the right thing. See what happens. Run it through its paces.
That's what's incredible. Like if this can do this, then whatever's happening in the black box, as long as it can reproduce like these, that it's truthful, and we're taking past projects and it's producing better results, like more balanced scenarios. So like,
wait, so you're testing the software right now?
No, we are getting it. This was from their website, our meeting with them, an hour meeting. So now we're getting it, and I'm getting the video of our meeting. So yeah, I'm going to let you take a look at it, because it'll be interesting to see if it's the next step.
No, I do think again, there's a lot that AI is going to be helpful. The real next step, though, it's like why would there be so much talk about world models? Just think about that. Why is there so much talk about world models? Where previously it was all just large language models, generative AI, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about world models. It's because they're already done. They hit the wall with large language models. You can't take it any further.
Well, this is definitely further.
I think though there's some kind of pattern. I forgot the name of it. I couldn't look it up, but it was where it's like they have agents will run in the initial query, and then it's passed off to other agents. It like loops it around a couple of times, fine tuning it and changing it and you could also have functions that look for errors, and functions that, it's doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes that you're not seeing, and it's coming up with a better result.
Is that
they do have it running through multiple agents, even multiple models, right? Where you have like a group of them acting as like a hive brain
Right.
and maybe voting on the best answer. Um,
Is,
or
is that
maybe
what
iterating on the best answer. They've done some
that
of that.
is? It is doing that. Is that post processing? Is that what you're talking about when you say
Well,
post
that's
processing?
actually even more than post-processing because that's in like a loop where they'll have multiple large language models critiquing each other
Right.
until they have some metric, and they'll say, keep going until you meet our standard of excellence.
That's
A
what
lot of
it's
them
doing.
use different large language models because they know that they just work a little bit differently, just a tiny bit different, and they're getting a different result a little bit.
Right.
I think they taught this in a model of civil engineering.
I
I think
actually
that's
think they
what
did
they are.
fine tuning is what they probably
Yeah,
did, but
yeah.
they may also be doing fine tuning and what are they doing with the context? Are they doing a RAG approach for the context? Probably. And even
Probably.
RAG approaches, retrieval augmented generation, that's how you fill the context. There's a whole science still on how you're dealing with the context window. Are you limited? Is it only 128,000? Like, I don't even know if GPT-5, OpenAI doesn't talk about context windows anymore. I don't know why. I think maybe because Gemini has been at 1 million for a while, and I don't even know what Claude is at. But
This is not that.
128K is honestly is not enough.
But this is not that. There's no window. This is not like that. It's running internal to AutoCAD, Civil 3D.
Well, there has to be a window. I mean, there has to be an input. Remember,
Well, you have the input. Yeah, you do. Like for the K factor of your roadway design for
no.
your slope.
I get what you're talking about. You're talking about inside the CAD. I'm talking about to the whatever neural network they're using. There is an input layer, and there is a number of parameters that it can accept for its input window.
That's the window I was talking about. They have all of these specific engineering details that we're putting into a table before it runs the model, and then it runs iterations, and they show you it balancing all the different sites, considering where to put walls, where it's cutting its slope, and it's giving you the topo, and it's creating the quantities table, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty damn cool thing.
Nice.
That's interesting. And I wonder again. Remember, I told you there's these 3 pieces. So that's the input side, not even the input of the large language model. So, just as an example, if you're dealing with just a large language model, its input is only words. Remember, the idea is get the next word, find the next word, show me the next word in the sequence. So, if you're saying they're doing this CAD stuff and there's also these engineering parameters, there's got to be a step where it takes that and turns it into words. If they're using a large language model, they may not be. They may not even be using a large language model.
I think that's why I was interested in getting you to see it. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway.
But also, they're not going to probably, if their technology is proprietary, they're not going to share how they did it. They're just going to say it's magic. Buy it.
No, I mean he was answering my questions, but he didn't have the right questions. I almost wish you were in the meeting because it would have been at least more interesting to ask the dude, like, what the hell are you doing? My remedial knowledge was just like, again, just enough to be dangerous. But that was sort of like, I hope I didn't take away from the movie. We sort of went into the AI a little, and I know it's already an hour.
Yeah. It is an interesting question. There are obviously already unintended consequences with AI. I mean, look at the slopification. Look what it's doing to education. You have some serious ramifications. They talk about the big ones like, oh, it's going to steal all our jobs. It is hurting some fields like junior software engineers. There's a lot of people say, why do I need a junior software engineer anymore? You can generate the code in 5 minutes. Of course, the problem with that is, well, where do you think senior software engineers come from?
Yep.
Mike, I know you had said that there was a limitation on the program, like the code. You were like saying 2,000 to 3,000 lines starts to fall apart. But just like with the fake videos, you can take 10 second and make it 60 seconds. Or, can you do that with the code? 3,000 lined and put them all together in like Python editor or something like that?
Yeah. In fact, that's what you do. You take your big projects, if you really want it to help you on other projects, you take your big projects and you segment it intelligently and have it work on the segments. but also there are like codecs. There are now, and I heard Claude is better at coding than OpenAI's stuff, GPT. But OpenAI has something called codecs, and I know Claude has the same thing. Where it'll be able to look at your whole code base.
Wow.
They basically do RAG on the code base.
Interesting.
Is what they
So
do.
basically,
Yeah,
we're
they
using.
crack that problem. It can work on larger programs.
Interesting.
There still is a, call it, I don't know how you want to call it. There still is a size problem. As the challenge, whether it's input, as the inputs get larger and larger, it starts to break down in terms of its answers. And it starts to lose, and it forgets what it told you before. There's all sorts of problems with it, you know.
Interesting. Interesting.
Arrivederci.